Hey there, we're the West Slot Pirates and welcome to the show. We're here to share our thoughts on Northwestern athletics and college sports with thoughts and analysis from the visceral to the statistical. We run our tailgate with the red pirate flag flying high above as we give no quarter, especially the fourth. I'm Sam Walter.
I'm John Lacombe.
And I'm Eric Skos-Gauspo.
It's been a busy week.
Lord have mercy.
My goodness.
Or to quote 30 Rock, it's like, oh, what a week. It's just Wednesday.
Yeah. This is like real talk too. Between the three pirates, we are all so beat up right now. Between like the holidays, coming out of the holidays, various physical ailments, and then looking at all this and being like, every day we wait to get right to get the pod out, 10 more things happen. I'm like, Lord, the portal era, boy, is it here.
Yeah, seriously.
Man, if they can solve this calendar thing, like apparently Dan Lanning and Signetti and a whole bunch of other, like everybody agrees that like playoff shit needs to finish by like roughly January 1st. Stop competing with the NFL, stop getting into deep into January, and like then allow all the portal and all the like you would fix so much that is wrong with the last 2 months of this sport.
Right.
But there's been a lot of opportunity for common sense decisions in college football in the past, and they don't often get made.
No,
so
they sure
I'm not going to
don't.
hold my
No.
breath.
So Chip Kelly comes in and immediately gets busy. Coaching changes happened first, and we'll talk about those in a sec. But the big news, and that the news that kind of everyone has been waiting on pins and needles for, and trying to project and figure out, okay, well, who's going where and what and how. But we got ourselves a quarterback, and his name is Aidan Chiles. You may have heard of him. Came over
on
from
this pod.
yeah, comes over from Michigan State, and we've looked at a lot of Aidan Chiles tape, and we've previewed him going into this year, and there's a lot to get into with him.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a real awesome upside narrative around Chiles of why we think he could be really good for Northwestern that we're going to tell you here in a second. There's also an undeniable, he did not have a good season at Michigan State this past year. He struggled with turnovers and sacks, particularly the year before. But we were really excited about him coming into the season. And I'm just going to read straight from my preview when we previewed Michigan State coming into the season. So I was kind of talking about some of the changes that are going on in the background of Michigan State, but the squad, it's all about Aidan Chiles in 2025. In year two, he should have a great chance to break out. He was sacked 35 times the prior season and threw 11 picks. It's notable that he went up against insane competition in 2024 and didn't shrink from the moment. His best overall performance was against Iowa and that crazy defense, but he also threw for 200 yards against Ohio State, Indiana, and Illinois. Most quarterbacks improve their accuracy, decision-making, etc. in year two, so it'll be possible to see some real growth from this offense. Chiles should be better at keeping the team on the field and extending drives. They certainly won't be at the top of the Big Ten table, but they should be able to be much better than they were in 24. So, we were high on this guy, and frankly, he started the season electric.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely he did. And I think it's funny because you rewound that 1 year. You can almost rewind 2 years. Because one of the important pieces of context here is Michigan State's an awful football team and have been for a couple of years. That's why Pat Fitzgerald's there. That's why their coach was fired. They're
particularly on O-line.
Right.
Yeah.
Horrible. And I think if we were going to look back to going into the 2024 season, I mean, I have to go back and check, but I'm pretty sure we were like, this is easily the worst team in the Big Ten. They're a dumpster fire of a football team. And basically what happened for the next 2 years is basically that, except they had Aidan Chiles. And you can look at, the tape with him, he's one of the most impressive physical specimens you'll ever see at quarterback. I mean, he's 6'4", pushing 6'5", and is ungodly fast for a guy who's that tall.
When was the last time we had a quarterback that big? Like Thorson? Thorson wasn't even that big.
It's Thorson, but he's faster than Thorson. I mean, I think that's a good comp though. Think of the Thorson run that we thought we'd get a million more of, that we got zero more of against Stanford his freshman year.
Right.
When you're like, look at this long striding 6'4" son of a gun go. Chiles is a faster version of that. But like Scuzz said, like, he's taken 50 something sacks. It is because their offensive line's so bad, because the football team has been really bad. And you look at some of the stats, and you're right, like the fumble Scuzz mentioned, like particularly last year, but he has 14 career picks. 8 of those were in his first 5 games. So since then, you have to realize that he's thrown like a tiny, tiny amount of picks. And this is the other thing too, because like Scuzz said, he had this incandescent start to the season. And I remember Scuzz, like, you gave that whole intro, and then we talked about the fact that like Michigan State's going to play free and easy this year because like no one's expects much out of them, but he's going to single-handedly give them the chance to win a game they have no business winning. And that's exactly what happened against Boston College this year. He just went full hero ball, and they won in overtime. And then USC, he put up monster numbers against USC too, and made that somewhat of a game that had no business being a football game. And effectively, then you look at the numbers and you're like, and I, we were talking about it every week this season. We would talk about everything we have to talk about with Northwestern, and then run through the rest of the Big Ten schedule. And there was that stretch where we were like, oh my gosh, Chiles has just imploded. Michigan State's imploded or whatever. And then as soon as he came on the radar, potentially to get us through the portal, we went back and did what we just had never done during the season, which is watch the tape of those games. And it's not just that he gets hit a bajillion times. It's the way he gets hit. We put up a video. Watch the video we put up online. But effectively, 3 plays into the Nebraska game, he's not right. And it just gets worse from there. And again, watch the video. Watch the videos. We've put it all up on Twitter. But this guy had this unbelievably promising start to the season through 4 games. And then in the Nebraska game, it went horribly wrong immediately. And we were actually looking and being like, if through some magical time machine, you could go back and do what in hindsight, everyone, probably chiefly Aidan Chiles, wished could have happened, which was just that he gets shut down early in that Nebraska game. He probably gets cleared for a medical red shirt for this past season, and then he'd have 2 years of eligibility left instead of 1. It's crazy to come out of these like eras of guys playing 6 years, 7 years. We'll get to a beloved Wildcat going for year number 7 a little bit later in the pod. But Chiles is looking to do 4 years, and that's it. He came, played plenty Oregon State as a freshman, sophomore, junior, and this is his true senior year. And he's just used up all of those reps. But yeah, in terms of the way this guy moves, the way he can throw, this guy can make every throw, and he's 6'4" and big, and he's one of the fastest quarterbacks you'll ever see. I mean, in terms of home run swings, it doesn't get more home runny than this.
Sorry, just a couple of those stats to throw out there. So his pick rate, like his rate of interceptions, dropped from 3.5 to 1.5, coming from 24 into 25. So even with that rough Nebraska game, he had a really good season. 10 TDs passing, three picks, and then another 6 TDs rushing. He did this without significantly dropping in yards per attempt or yards per rush. He had, a good sophomore season, or well, I guess junior season. He had a good second season in Michigan State, despite the dearth of talent on that team, the ineffective coaching. And then the other thing that has come up a whole lot is folks looking at Jonathan Smith's system, which is more of kind of like a pro style, et cetera, and thinking that Aidan Chiles is a much better fit for Chip Kelly's offense. And I haven't watched enough Chiles to know that for certain. Certainly, the running piece is a big thing. Although I don't know that I want this guy running a ton, given some of the past injury history, et cetera. But Here's what matters more to me. Reportedly, Chiles was the number one desired quarterback on Northwestern's list and the only one that they hosted in Evanston. And this is one of those like kind of trust the process moments. Like we hired Chip Kelly. We talked about all of his bona fides last episode. Again, we don't 100% know it's going to work. We don't 100% know that Aidan Chiles is going to work, but like, I kind of feel like trusting Chip Kelly that on his quarterback choice, given it was his top one.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
He passes the eye test for the Chip Kelly system in 2 seconds.
Like we talked last week. These dual threat quarterbacks have thrived in the Chip Kelly offense, and that's kind of what we're looking at here.
Right. My worry, Scuzz, to the same thing is his health.
Yeah.
I can't stress enough how horrific this guy's month of October was. When you look at his performance on October 18th at Indiana, he completed 82% of his passes and for 243 yards. If you go and again watch the series of tweets and videos we put up on Twitter, and you can textualize what the 2 weeks for him leading into that game were, it's a miracle he was walking, let alone performing the way that he was in that game. And all the reports are that he's healthy and everything. But I mean, again, he's like that is the risk. But I mean, Chip Kelly he's well familiar with this. Like this is how maximizing the mobility of quarterbacks. But like I think some people are probably like, really, this was Chip's number one guy. I mean, go watch the tape. Chip Kelly's looking at this being like, I can do everything I want to do with this guy.
Yeah, and something else that we're kind of I alluded to earlier is now he's got a new quarterback coach. You might have heard of him. He was sort of the belle of the ball. Shall you say?
He sure was. We had a little something to do with him getting put in that position too.
We sure did. Jerry Neuheisel. You might remember him from UCLA's sort of 3-game spurt after moving on from Deshaun Foster, where he was carried off the field after beating Penn State. And yeah, just sort of this. Thought of as this wunderkind, and he's coming in to coach quarterbacks. This is awesome hire.
Well, we were really excited. So we had heard his name before we did our pod last week, and we weren't sure if it was going to happen. So I don't think we mentioned him on the Chip Kelly as part of our Chip Kelly conversation. But it's like what we've heard is that this was a bit of a package deal. Kelly really wanted Neuheisel to come with him. So interestingly, he was not QB coach at UCLA under Kelly. He had a variety of roles, including like assistant head coach. Obviously, he was named OC after the Bruins fired their OC after they played us. I'm sorry, they fired Deshaun Foster after they played us.
No, they fired Deshaun Foster before they played us.
Before us,
they
that's right. And then Tino
Sunseri,
like it was like a mutual departure. That happened right after playing us, and then they put in Neuheisel, and with like just 2 days of time with the team, they put together kind of this incredible game plan. I mean, UCLA had one of the worst offenses
just abysmal,
in college.
Abysmal.
Those first few weeks of the year, and it was terrible. So, but I think. When you think about some of the potential negatives that could come with Kelly, particularly his age, how willing is he to get on the recruiting trail, all that sort of stuff, like having a right hand like Neuheisel makes all the sense in the world. And I just think like this is the way you build out a balanced staff. A couple of the names that we're going to talk about in a minute are other guys that are familiar with Kelly's system. So that's really important too. He has another lieutenant who can help teach his system at Northwestern and get guys up to speed. And this is exactly what we kind of thought would happen with Kelly having influence over the coaching staff and bringing in the guys that he needs to bring in to make this thing hum. And it's what we're seeing play out. And it's, obviously there's a couple of the names that have departed. We'll get to those as well. That's, part of this whole business, which is disappointing at times and certainly sad to see, favorites of the past go by. But I think Northwestern is striking all the right notes as they're putting together this new package and this new product for 2026.
Yeah, I think the one other thing I'd say about Neuheisel is when Sinceri went out and Neuheisel took over and and UCLA immediately went on that 3-game run, one of the big triggers of that, it wasn't, everyone knew, and you could see in the locker room and on the field how aware everyone was of Neuheisel's contribution. And one of the things he did was turn Nico Amealiava loose and be like, we have to leverage this guy in a really specific way. And they had the perfect game plan to go at what Penn State was doing. And he was unstoppable. You know who's super like Nico? Aidan Chiles. They are alike in a lot of ways. And it's
fair.
And the larger point being, between Chip Kelly and Jerry Neuheisel, these are two guys who know exactly what to do with the quarterback that they have just pulled in. There's the big age gap, and it's great. It's like your Neuheisel is young, energy, and it's an awesome hire, and clearly one that, along with Kelly, has borne fruit already.
We also got word that a new offensive line coach is coming in. Tim Drevno also worked with Chip Kelly for a long time. Drevno comes over from he was working with Texas this past year. He was with Kelly at Ohio State in 24. He's also he was with Kelly in UCLA. Some experience in the NFL, 3 years with the Niners.
I think the important piece there. Yeah, but I think the important piece is the familiarity with Kelly's system,
100%,
and the presence at Ohio State and UCLA. And we talked, last week about how effective Kelly's offenses in college have been over the years, and how much of that is predicated on the running game. He is an exceptional builder and executor of run games, and that starts at the point of attack, and Drevno is going to be critical in helping our O-line understand these mechanisms. And I just it does make me think back to, I don't want to call out any coaches in the past, but the staff at Northwestern has not typically felt like this kind of cohesive unit in the past. And again, we'll have to see, we have to see how this all comes together and if it works. But the notes right now, the way it looks on paper is looking awesome.
Yeah. In addition to Drevno, Bob Bicknell is coming in to coach tight ends for the first time. We've got a dedicated tight ends coach.
It's pretty funny. Just the Northwestern experience, particularly of the Fitz era, but of coaches who were tenured for such a long period of time. And Bicknell in particular, his resume, I lost count of how many places he's been. It's pros, college, 1-year stops, 2-year stops. But everything you said is true. This is all about a unified group pulling together to implement this scheme. That's 100% what it is. And the Northwestern Specials did not have a banner year this year. And the fact that we had Paul Creighton splitting between specials and tight ends, that needed to end. We needed this dedicated coach. So it's, another probably big benefit to this.
Yeah, he's recently, he was a senior offensive assistant with the Raiders with Kelly, but 24 he was with the Patriots, 22 and 23 he was with the Saints, 2018 to 2020 he was with the Bengals. He's coached wide receivers. He's coached tight ends. He's coached O-line. He even coached D-line for a year with the Frankfurt Galaxy. So
I saw that. A lot of NFL Europe on the resume.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool.
So, yeah.
That's why you said Frankfurt Galaxy. I was like, where?
Yeah.
Huh?
NFL Europe. He did 2 years with the Galaxy, 2 years with the Berlin Thunder, and 1 year with the Cologne Centurions before coming back to the States to go to work at Temple, the Chiefs, the Bills, the Eagles, the Niners, Baylor, Cincy, New Orleans,
incredible.
New England. I mean, a lot of different places.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So with the addition, obviously, of Drevno and Bicknell, Bill O'Boyle did leave. He's went to San Diego State, I believe.
Yep.
So, we lose O'Boyle as our O-line coach. We were very happy with it. Like, I thought he did a great job.
It's one of the losses that really stings. You always hope for the best, and we have big hopes for Drevno putting in this new system. But O'Boyle was awesome. We had a top 5 line in the Big Ten this year, and that was a mix of guys who were developed in-house and players brought in through the portal. It was kind of old world, new world, and he got the very best out of the unit. I mean, it's a big loss. Frankly, it's a monster get for San Diego State. A huge pull for them, but he came in 2 short years in very unsettled circumstances, put together a really special unit.
Really reestablished the identity and the continuity of that O-line. This is probably the one that kind of stings the most, just because of how good that unit played this past year. We have described it as the best offensive line
unit,
that Northwestern has had, in many, many, many years. But I've seen, a variety of reactions on social media and elsewhere of like, oh, this is the negative that comes, like the kids are going to miss this guy. He was great, yada, yada, yada. And that's all true. Those exact same words were said by a lot of folks about Kurt Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't say that to say anything other than like, yeah, it's too bad that we don't have O'Boyle, but that doesn't mean that we're not moving onward and upward. And it doesn't mean that it's not, the best thing for the offense in whole to have, Drevno, a guy with Kelly's scheme in his blood, here going forward. So I thought that was worth calling out, and certainly we'll be rooting for O'Boyle and hope that he's able to really build an awesome unit in San Diego State.
Yeah, as they enter the new Pac-12, I believe, this year. We also got news. So a lot of changes on the offensive coaching staff. We got some news on the defensive coaching staff as well, which is also a bummer. Harlan Barnett and Christian Smith, both on their way out. Christian Smith on his way to Penn State to join Iowa State. I mean, the new Iowa State, Penn State Nittany Lions. So many Iowa State guys have gone to Penn State with Campbell, but Christian Smith is heading out to State College to work their D-line.
This one stings, I think, the first second you think about it. The more you think about it, the more positive it is. Not just because Christian Smith is clearly a rising star. Like, Christian Smith, I think we all knew this. There was a chance that he was going to leave to be South Dakota State head coach last year. Like, he was in the running for that job. He's an ascendant position coach. He's going on to Penn State. I think we were all aware he's been doing such a phenomenal job with our defensive line for several years now that this was probably just the price of doing business. But in a larger sense, that's a David Braun hire. And that's a David Braun hire who crushed it and now is moving on to Penn State. And a hire like that reflects really well on David Braun and his ability to continue to make hires like that. It shows that David Braun knew exactly who to go get to run his defensive line, and makes you believe that he's going to find another hire in the same vein, and that he's going to continue to make hires like this down the road. We were really lucky to have Christian Smith working with our defensive line for a couple of years, onward and upward for him. And David Braun's got a chance to make another great hire now.
Yep. Upheaval in your coaching staff is not like what you want. It's not what you strategize for. But when it's guys getting plucked because of how excellent they are, and to your point, John, you hired them, you developed them, you showcased them, like that is what you want. It like I think about as part of my job at work is my day job is managing and developing talent, and when that talent is ready to leave my team and move on to other places, like that is good. That's what success looks like for me. I think it's worth noting at the same time, like all four of the coaches in the Final Four of the college football playoff are former Saban assistant coaches.
Right.
And I like the other side of upheaval is when you're firing guys and replacing them because of performance. And that's not what this is. So this is, of course, losing Christian Smith is not a good thing. This is a bummer. It's sad, but it does reflect some positives about the nature of our staff and our head coach and our program going forward.
Yeah, I mean, when you have coaches that people want to hire, that speaks a lot of the program. I mean, that's something that for years and years and years, Fitz's staff was consistent, and like that was played up as, hey, your consistency is great, but it also is like, well, no one's coming knocking on the door for these guys. So, okay, it's something to be aware of. Harlan Barnett.
I think Randy Bates was the one guy he got picked up by Pitt as DC, and I believe he just retired.
Oh, there's a bit. Well,
speaking of Pitt,
I was about to say, yeah.
Harlan Barnett got hired by Narduzzi, and he's on his way to Pitt. So, talk about a stabilizing force on the defensive backfield with his experience. He was also associate head coach too, right?
I think,
yes, and
yeah,
because he was. I think that was his role at Michigan State before he came to. He was assistant head coach, and then he coached the safeties,
and interim head coach as well after they made their change before Smith. But yeah, I mean, so there's still some coaching staff changes. I mean, we're still waiting to hear. At the time of recording on Wednesday night, we have not heard any news on replacements for Smith or Barnett. So, obviously we'll keep our ears to the ground on that.
Something worth noting. Barnett coached, overlapped with Narduzzi for a really probably for Narduzzi's whole time at Michigan State. This actually makes a ton of sense that Narduzzi would scoop him up.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. If you or a loved one is seriously injured by someone else's negligence, hire Kent Simpson of the Simpson Law Group. After over a decade prosecuting murder cases in Chicago, Simpson opened his own firm focused on wrongful death and personal injury cases. He specializes in car, truck, motorcycle, boat, and other transportation accidents, as well as construction accidents, medical negligence, slip and falls, product liability, and more. Millions recovered for clients, no fee unless he wins. The Simpson Law Group. Compassion, empathy, and vigorous advocacy. Go to simpsonlawgroup.com or call 312-332-2107 for a free consultation, and go Cats. So, transfer portal season is here, and it feels...
for us, it's really here at a level that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, it's funny because it was really, the Kelly hire got announced, and then we heard about, New Heisel, New Heisel and Drevno a few days later, and... then we were all sitting around Googling quarterbacks and trying to figure out what was going to happen. And it was quiet. And then boom, the last 3 days have gone bananas.
It's been absolutely nuts. We'll talk about some of the guys who are coming in, but I think, we should probably start with some of the guys on their way out. I think the headliner here has to be Anto Saka. Definitely a bummer to have him go, especially going into this past season, as much hype as he had, making the freaks list. And people talking about him as a potential first rounder. Obviously, did not have the season that he wanted, and kind of. I know we all thought that as soon as Christian Smith went to Penn State, and then Saka announced he's hitting the portal, like an hour or two later, we're like, oh, he's following Smith to Penn State. Like, that's what's happening. That wasn't what's happening. He's on his way to College Station to go play at Texas A&M.
Yeah.
It's real quick. If you're not familiar with what the freaks list is that Sam referred to. So Bruce Feldman, senior college football writer at The Athletic, and a frequent presence, I think, on the Fox.
Yeah, he does
college football shows, etc.
Yeah.
Every year in the preseason, he puts together a list of athletic freaks, like guys who have just incredible athletic traits and really, really stand out. And Saka was on his list this year.
Not the last guy we'll mention who's on that list. We'll get to another one a long time down. But in terms of Saka, this is I think back to Rod Hurd as an example of someone where it reached a point where I thought that their Northwestern career was done. I thought their Northwestern career was done because I thought he was headed on to the pros. And then found out, no, he's going to try to take another year. So I'd already kind of made my peace with him not being on the football team. I just didn't know he'd be playing for another college. Same thing with Saka. I think we were all wondering, though, where it was basically like, this wasn't the year he wanted. And it was a really bummer because there was all that first round talk that I'm sure he heard coming into the season. We know that he really worked to bulk up to try to contribute more on the line. And then the injuries just piled up and it just did not go the way that it wanted. And, like I said, like I had already made my peace with Anto Saka not being on this football team anymore. So hearing this, I'm just like, hey, if they've got a spot for you, if they've got a place that's going to showcase the best things that you do and put you in the position to get into the pros, then so much the better. And if you were able to make a fat chunk of change in the process of doing that, that's great. It will.
There's a lot of Northwestern fans that won't like what I'm about to say, but the comment you just made, John, about put people in the pros, and this is like, you can 100% be a performer at Northwestern and get to the pros, but we have seen a number of examples in what I'll call like the playoff era now, and that includes Rod Hurd, it includes Skoronski,
Skowronek.
Skowronek. You could talk about Josh Preeb. You could talk about Josh Thompson. Like going to one of the top 16, 20 blue chip programs that's going to be in the mix for the college football playoff. If you can get a spot on one of those teams and see the field and play significant minutes, it puts a different spotlight on your pro potential. And that's just the way it is. Now, Northwestern, like all the decisions that we have seen Northwestern making, whether it's the stadium, the indoor facility, hiring Chip Kelly, the way we're investing in this in NIL and the program going into 2026, like those are all in service of getting Northwestern closer to those conversations and closer to that upper echelon. But like, you got to call a spade a spade. Like, this is a great opportunity for Saka. I hope he absolutely kills it and that it puts him into the pros where he deserves to be.
Absolutely.
I think there's another piece too that's like related, which is basically like, it is really hard to imagine a situation where you're bringing Anto Saka back to this Northwestern football team and not asking him to shoulder a massive load at defensive end his senior year. And I bring that up only because I think it's pretty clear to all of us that he needs to get in that true lane and stay in that true lane of just true edge. You're trying to get off the edge and get to the quarterback in that special situation. That's probably your NFL role. Texas A&M has got more than enough depth to feature you in that role. And I think on the flip side, like we know that having Anto come back for us this season and probably trying to do our best to continue to make him an every down defensive end is probably not best for anybody.
Yeah.
I think this is ultimately the move that's probably best for all.
Well said.
Yeah. And another kind of big name on his way out. is Jack Olson. I didn't realize he had another year of eligibility left.
Nor did I.
But, this is a guy who has, kicked at Northwestern for a long time. And we actually heard from him. He reached out, and, we heard from, Louis Vicaire with Wildcat Report also reported, Olson was in an interesting situation that, he has his undergrad degree. He's got a master's from Kellogg, and for his own, professional experience, what his goals were, Northwestern didn't have another master's degree that fit what he wanted to do. And if he can go somewhere on scholarship and get another master's, good on you, my guy. Like that's incredible. And, I hope nothing for the best for Olson.
Milkman came to play school.
That's right.
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, right. This is someone who's absolutely doing this he's thinking incredibly smart. I say he's thinking real smart. I say he has put a lot of thought into his future, and not his future as a football player, but his future academically and professionally. And this is someone with multiple Northwestern degrees who is planning things out. Obviously, you all know that the Milkman is very close to our hearts. We had a lot to do with the Milkman nickname. And it's just something that we've had a lot of fun with. It's been really fun to have a kicker with a moniker like that we could all get behind and really have some fun with, and have him be so good. And that was just a great era. And I know that Olson is someone that we are going to see down the road at future Northwestern football games and future Northwestern tailgates. Is just someone who is a great part of our community. We love that guy.
We also heard Evan Smith, cornerback, is in the portal. Have not heard as of yet his destination, if he's made that decision or not yet. We haven't heard. But you got Evan Smith and Dylan Tatum, both defensive backs on their way out. Well, I guess Tatum's going to Miami, Ohio, but we don't know where Smith is going yet. But losing two guys off the secondary, that sucks.
It does, and I think something that's instructive from the Olson situation, because one of the reasons he reached out, to us and presumably also to Louis Vicaire is folks are starting to speculate. Oh, is this because Northwestern's inviting a kicker? Yada yada yada, and just to remind, there's so many reasons that guys transfer.
Yeah,
some of them are about school, some of them are about family, some of them are about football. It's just a million different things. So,
most of which we will never know.
We'll never know, right? Seeing Evan Smith put his name in the portal was a real bummer to me, because he came in relief, particularly last season, a handful of times, and I thought really showed some promise. And it's just it's certainly a bummer. This is a guy that certainly would have had a role next season in our defense and had an opportunity to get out on the field with some frequency. So. It is certainly a bummer, but we hope he lands on his feet. And who knows, he might pull his name out of the portal and decide to stay with Northwestern. That is certainly still an option available to him.
Yeah. I think for me, with Smith in particular, one of the things I'll always remember, I mean, he did log a couple of starts, but along with Bowl hero Braden Turner, he was part of a special teams unit that made notable contributions in 2024, but he had I'd say supporting, but notable role in the 2023 special teams unit, which remains one of the greatest special teams units that Northwestern has ever put on the field. That's the unit led by Braden Bruss, but Evan Smith was a part of that unit, and that to me will always be a special thing.
And then another guy who put his name in the portal, running back Deshaun Reeder. Also, is not clear where he's going. If he's going, we don't know. But he's in the portal. He's looking around. Again, got to reiterate, we don't know all the circumstances, and we're not going to speculate, because unless someone comes straight out and tells us, we just don't know. But from an on-field standpoint, we didn't see much of him this year. He was hurt, but the couple flashes we saw, oh my goodness gracious.
I know. It's like this one stings because it feels like this is a player on the precipice, right? I mean, it's like the taste we got was, right, like you said, small sample size, but enough of a sample size to show you how special of a football player he is. Would love to see him come back out of the portal. If it's not in the cards, it's not in the cards, but he's going to go and do big things for someone. I would love for it to be us, but it stings if we lose him just because what little we have seen was special.
So now we talk about some of the guys coming in. Oh, go ahead.
Real
ahead.
quick.
Yep.
No, real quick before we do that, I think it's important to highlight, like, it's 5 names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is true.
We got 5 guys who have put their names in the portal, and there certainly could be a handful more.
There's another week and a half of portal, so like it's not done by any stretch.
I mean, most schools that have big changes, like Iowa State, for example,
Right.
There's something like, I think 19 or 20 of their players that have gone to Penn State. They have 47 at least transfers overall out of their program. They're in a real rough spot. I think most Big Ten schools end up in double digits, like low double digits, most likely. But five at Northwestern, and again, I think that speaks to. I'm not trying to be Pollyannish about, like, there's good reasons that guys transfer, and sometimes it's good for the school that guys transfer. But I do think that culture has been a big part of what Braun has pitched and focused on. We think it's incredibly important to how teams perform, and how teams come together and weather a season. And it says something that, this is not 12, 15, 20 guys, especially with the changes to the staff that we're seeing percolate. And again, this number of 5, it could balloon a little bit. There could be some more guys that leave after spring ball, et cetera. But this is pretty good.
Well, I mean, technically it is 7. Albert Kunikis and Hayden Wright are also both transferred.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Okay. So 7.
I mean,
but Wright left early. But Kunikis is another example of a guy who got his degree and then transferred out. Right. I mean, I think you're going to have that bedrock that is always going to be a stabilizing force, even in the portal era. Of guys who want that Northwestern degree. The 4 for 40 remains just as real as it ever has been. And to the 4 for 40, in the portal era, you can probably add a little, like, 1 for 40, 2 for 40, Kellogg kind of situation.
Yeah.
It's like that degree is worth a lot of money too. That's also a really special education. And a lot of guys are taking advantage of that too. So it's like, things are really going to ramp up from a portal perspective, but that base of guys valuing the education is always going to be there.
All right, so that's the outbound. But as we always say, the portal giveth as the portal taketh. A lot of guys, have it's still a lot left to be decided. A lot of more transferring and a lot of more things other shoes to drop. But as of right now, we talked about, obviously, Aidan Chiles, but a couple other, names coming in that are very, very exciting. Starting off with linebacker Kobe McKenzie coming in from Oklahoma.
This is the head. I mean, Chiles is the obvious headliner, but on the defensive side of the ball, McKenzie is the headliner so far. The single biggest thing for him is he is a really athletic, attacking type player. As of right now, we would all peg him to play right alongside Braden Bruss. He is a Braden Bruss type of player. This is an athlete. This is a really fast football player who gets downhill. One of the big things to know, and we talked about this online, he comes in right now. He is immediately Northwestern's second of the active Northwestern players projected to be on next year's team. He is second in career tackles for loss, directly behind Michael Kilbane. Michael Kilbane has 11 career TFLs. Kobe McKenzie has 10.5. And 6.5 of those were this past year. This is a guy who gets downfield and attacks. He like has what, like 80 something career tackles.
Yeah, 84 career tackles. Last year he had 32 tackles, 5 TFLs, and a sack before he got hurt, and then came off the bench after he came back from his groin injury. But yeah,
generally agreed by most people that this was his best season. He had a lot of suitors in the portal. This was a wanted, desired player who I think is looking and being like, I can see the writing on the wall. There's a spot next to Braden Bruss that probably has my name all over it. Tim McGarrigle gets after it. I see the kind of football that this guy wants to play. I love that feel for me. Let's go get it. This was a big one. This is another one that in a lesser, not like the same like footprint that the Chiles one has, but a lot of people wanted this guy, and a lot of people are looking and being like, oh, Northwestern, huh? All right.
We've also got Jackson Cleather coming in, the kicker from Bowling Green. He's coming in as a grad transfer. This is a guy who was MAC Special Teams Player of the Week twice last year. 19 of 22 on field goals, second team All-MAC kicker. Kicked a 56-yarder against Lafayette. 3 field goals over 50, 6 over 40.
I love how easy it is to project how a guy like this will do in the Big Ten. It's like those footballs fly just as straight in our conference as they do in the MAC. 19 of 22 with 3 over 50 will do just fine.
And next is a guy who we saw straight up in the bowl game. Central Michigan's Brendan Diaz-Fernandez, cornerback, came in. This is a guy who in the bowl game had four passes broken up, 2 tackles, 4 PBUs in the bowl, and like he was kind of one of the only highlights for Central Michigan on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, if you go back and watch the first quarter, as our offense is struggling, number 3 on CMU is flying around and causing all sorts of problems for our wide receivers, breaking up balls, to your point, Sam, etc. And I guess if you can't beat them, join them. Welcome, Brendan. We're excited to have you.
Yeah,
it was pretty awesome.
He actually
against our offense in that game.
He started his career at Iowa. Was at Iowa for. He got there in 2020. Was hurt. Played all 13 games in 2023 before transferring to Central Michigan. He's got 1 more year left. But yeah, nice pickup on the defensive backfield.
Yeah, of the 2 defensive backs in the Game Above Sports Bowl, who helped
Little
them,
Caesars Bowl,
Little Caesars,
Motor City
Detroit,
Bowl.
et cetera, Motor City, who helped themselves the most were Braden Turner and Brendan Diaz-Fernandez. The power of bowls to help you. I mean, Braden Turner was already in good shape. Now he's in even better shape. But Diaz-Fernandez threw his hat in the ring to get out on the field and play next to him.
On the defensive line, we got Jamal Johnson coming from Central Florida. He was an edge rusher out of UCF. Played all 12 games last year, 24 tackles, 1.5 TFLs. We need with Hubbard, Saka, Haggerty all leaving, getting a nice, some new blood on the defensive line is going to be really helpful.
Yeah, obviously this is going to be a position of need. We know Michael Kilbane's going to be shouldering a massive load on the defensive line for us at end next year. But yeah, we are going to need guys to step in and pitch in, and he's the first one we've gotten in through the portal.
We're bringing in offensive tackle David Anchondo from Saginaw Valley State. This is a big boy, 6'8". Played right tackle at Saginaw Valley State. I can't say I know much about him because
it's funny
D2,
because
but we had a really good success bringing in FCS lower tier offensive lineman Evan Berenson.
Yeah, and it's funny. There was a period of time because he was one of the chief protectors for Mason McKenzie, who was a name that was percolating in the quarterback space for Northwestern for a little while. And was someone we were like, is that who we're going to get? And then people being like, oh, is it going to be a D2? Is D2 what we're going to get? And then it turned into Aidan Chiles. It turned turned out Aidan Chiles was who they wanted all along. But it was funny because at the time, people were like, oh, well, we already have a guy who, protected for this guy. But yeah, it'll be interesting. This is a project player looking to move up a level, but it'll be exciting to see if he can do it.
Right before we hit record on the pod tonight, we got word that
minutes before,
yeah, bringing in a tight end, 6'7", 270-pound Alex Honig coming over from UConn, from Germany originally. 13 catches, 162 yards, 3 touchdowns this past season. Talk about like bringing in a big tight end, like.
I mean, when you say those numbers next to a tight end, all I can think about is Trey Essex catching a touchdown pass as a freshman at Northwestern, as a tight end before moving to offensive tackle and then having an exceptional pro career, et cetera. I don't know that. I don't know. We know that UConn was a stronger team this past year than they've ever been. I don't think that's a hard thing to claim, and having a guy with this kind of, like, we have not had this kind of size at tight end in a long time. That the last one I can think of was Green. Was Green this big?
I don't know if we've ever had a tight end this big.
But when you think about the difficulties we've had in short yardage and some of those things and tight ends ceiling, et cetera, like a guy that can mow people down and catch is like, that's the dream.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, 13 catches last year for a guy who's 6'5", 270 is nothing to sneeze at. Like, that's
6'7", 270.
I mean 6'7", 270. Sorry, that's what I mean. And like, for a guy who clearly is out there to be massive and do a lot of blocking, like a catch a game that he's pitching in too. Like, this is a guy who's probably going to play a bunch. He's probably going to feature. And, Chip is looking at size like this and figuring out ways to scheme it effectively.
John, I see that you are also just reflexively replacing 6'7" when it comes up in with some other number.
Right. I think, like any dad, we all twitch for a second anytime we hear it. Yes, correct.
Something like looking at his bio here, something you could see maybe a potential for something really interesting. He came to the U.S. as a quarterback.
Oh, hell yes.
He went to TCU, redshirted, and then moved to tight end. So I don't know. You could do a little trickeration there.
Wild Worst or something like that, some sort of. Yeah. And did we mention, like, we teased it at the beginning, but this was another member of Bruce Feldman's Freaks list. So this is a guy, and again, like, this is, factor the Chip Kelly piece into this always. Like, if there are creative ways to use this guy and get him the ball in space, like, Chip's going to figure it out.
Nothing is official at the time of recording, but maybe by the time you hear this, we will know something for sure. But on Thursday, it sounds like Mississippi State running back Seth Davis is going to be coming in to visit. Sounds like he really wants to be here. This is a guy who has some history with Caleb Komolafe. They're both from Katy, Texas. They went to the same junior high school. They went to different high schools, but this is a guy whose running back coach in high school was Patty Fisher's older brother. So, there's definitely some ties to Northwestern. Kind of looking through this article on Wildcat Report. And kind of the last thing that was said is that he's looking for a winning culture and a good mechanical engineering program. So,
check.
Yeah. It's funny. Like, I'm so glad you reminded me of this too, because if this ends up coming true with Davis, in addition to all the personal connections, right? The academic piece of it, to the point we talked about earlier, is obviously like a factor here, right? And I meant to mention this at the top of the new incoming guys when we talked about Kobe McKenzie. Kobe McKenzie is all academic Big 12. And you can go online and you can just find pages of people talking about how smart he is. Same kind of thing. It's not all about money and playing time. Those are two massive things. But when guys have multiple places where they could be getting those things, certain guys are going to be like, well, all right, of those places, where's the place where I can get the very best education? And we're clearly like making an effective pitch to those guys.
Yeah, Davis originally committed to Duke out of high school, and then decommitted and switched to Mississippi State. I think that might have been when there was a coaching change too. I can't remember, but like when Elko left or something. But regardless, like yeah, no, that's spot on. I think the other thing I wanted to call out, so McKinsey and Chiles are both considered like 4-star transfer prospects by most of the major recruiting sites. On the other end of it, Saka and Tatum are both also considered 4-stars. So Northwestern's kind of even in terms of like the talent in and the talent out. But honestly, that's kind of what you want.
Tatum's a 4-star going out, huh?
That's based on 247. So.
All right. So yeah, I mean, like, and I'm sure by the time you're listening to this, there will be more that we haven't gotten to. I'm just
we were like, oh, should we have mentioned Davis? How much should we talk about Davis? For all we know, it's going to be Davis and like 3 or 4 other people by the time this even posts. So we'll find.
Yeah. I'm just scanning through Twitter here real quick, just before we move on for the evening. Not seeing anything kind of dropping last minute. No breaking news happening here, but yeah, I mean, portal season's in full force. We will see what else happens. Trying to think what other positions of need. Obviously, I'm sure we're on the lookout for a wide receiver or 2.
Jeremiah Smith said, he's all bound to be a Wildcat, putting the NFL on hold. Loves the idea of Chip's offense. Getting the band back together. That's what I heard.
It is interesting that our wide receiver and running back coaches seem to be sticking in place, at least for now. Mm-hmm. And Komalafe, Joe Hyman's name is not in the portal. It's one we had wondered about a lot during the course of the season, and I think we alluded to his tweet last week, and just like how great of a fit he is in what Chip Kelly wants to do in terms of like getting speed into space, etc. So and like every coach says they want to get speed into space. Chip Kelly's been doing it for 25 years,
right?
So like So like that is awesome. Like the running back room looks great. Elegon and Wildy are both, we saw a tremendous amount of potential from them this year. Was it Jaden McDuffie? Was that our 4-star wide receiver recruit that signed coming into the season? So we've got some pipeline there. You got Drew Wagner. I assume Chase Farrell is graduating.
No, we still Farrell's a young guy. No, we still
Farrell's a young guy. Okay, so Farrell, and there's another name that got out there in the bowl game that is eluding me right now. But we've got some interesting depth in the receiver room as well. So we'll just have to keep an eye on these things. I think for my money, O-line is the other big question of can we bring in any other potential plug and play starters?
Carson Grove, is that who you were thinking of?
Yeah, Carson, that's the name. Yeah, Grove.
Yeah, I mean, we're in January here. Like so much
long way to go.
Long way
to go, boys.
Transfer portal season's here. Obviously, we've got the CFP semis coming up this week. Indiana, Oregon. That's going to be so much fun. Their first matchup was incredible, and now for them to come back with a trip to the national championship on the line is going to be awesome. And then Miami, Ole Miss. I mean, there's no shortage of storylines going on in these Final Four, and it's wild that you're not seeing the same names in there time after time. You're not seeing the Alabamas, you're not seeing the Clemsons, you're not seeing the Georgias. This is real. Like, I'm excited for these 2 semis, and then the national championship game is going to be fire. Whatever the combo is, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, really good chance. I mean, either we get a first-time title, right, or we get, this unbelievable resurgence of the Miami Hurricanes, like out of nowhere. But obviously, I mean, Indiana's number one with a bullet. I mean, they've been the story. The Signetti memes are lighting the internet on fire.
Incredible. Absolutely awesome.
Just so good. And
I'm proud of myself for clocking in the moment him staring down that like
the fourth down play,
Alabama, like the Alabama coming out and trying to get them off sides and then coming out again and trying to do it again, and him just like standing there, eyebrow up like The Rock, with a scowl of derision on his face. And I'm so happy to have seen that in the moment in real life, not in real life, but in real time on my television. And now it is just popping up everywhere. And it makes me so happy. It's also just like Signetti personified in just an exceptional way.
Yeah. Just him being no.
What?
The are you effing kidding me with this?
Yeah.
Get that
out of here.
Get that ish out of here.
You think you're gonna fool me?
Yeah, no, not Murderbot.
I can't be fooled again.
Yeah.
I guess, we're not really going to go into basketball today. Obviously has not been
it's rough.
Has not been the start to the Big Ten season
Bob.
we were hoping for. So we'll give them a little time to try to get things worked out on their end. If that's something that's in the cards, we'll see. But definitely not the rousing start to the conference that we were hoping for.
Yeah, we know it's a young team, a team with a lot of disparate pieces, but it's not coming together so far. And again, I think we all probably need to start graduating out of this tourney mindset. Never say never, but within the framework of that mindset, that Minnesota loss was an absolutely crushing loss. So, I mean, it's like the schedule does not improve. It looks terrifying on paper over the next stretch. Nothing but opportunity there. You want to change the narrative on the road at the Michigan State Spartans. The day after the night that we're recording is the time to do it. May it be so. May this team figure it out. Obviously, there are all of these different pieces trying to come together and fit into some sort of puzzle here for us, and it's not working right now. It's one day it may just all click into place, and then suddenly everything will hum. So may that happen, but it's not happening right now.
Culture and identity.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that, like, I think there's a strong culture in this program of blue collar work ethic, etc. And you have Martinelli helping connect the dots between eras here, but this is a team in search of its identity, because for the better part of the last 4 or 5 years, Northwestern has been a defense forward team that squeezes other teams and leverages its home field advantage and wins in that fashion. And that is not the nature of this year's team. And they are trying to figure out a different identity, and that is a really hard thing to do and to switch on a dime.
So we'll get deeper into the basketball team next time or a little bit later on. But I think for now, any final thoughts before we go?
It's been a blizzard of stuff. What a flurry of things going on in such a short period of time. I mean, to have the full force of the portal, and then the full force of these major coaching changes inbound and outbound at Northwestern. For any Northwestern fan, it's a lot. It's a lot to process right now. The Chiles news would be a huge thing, that could take up the whole atmosphere just by itself. And you have instead that jostling with 15 other things. But we're all weathering it together. There is a lot of good news here, a lot to be excited about, and we'll keep moving forward.
So with that, we'll go ahead and leave it there for tonight. Head to our website, westlawpirates.com, where you can leave comments and questions. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, YouTube, @WestlawPirates, and you can always email us, westlawpirates@gmail.com. Tune in next time as we give our visceral and statistical views on Northwestern athletics, and look for us in the west side of Ryan Field flying the red pirate flag, because we give no quarter, especially the fourth. For John Lacombe and Eric Scasbo, I'm Sam Walter. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time.